Legion, Episode 7, Chapter 7. Now, sadly, at the end of this episode, the promo comes on and it says that next week is the season finale. So that really sucked. We're only getting an 8-episode season. And I knew it was going to be short. I was hoping we'd get 10. And it was funny as things were ramping up in this episode. I was like, oh crap, we're getting close to the season finale. Because I could tell that this was the type of show that would have one of those really short first seasons. I was hoping we'd have like at least 2 or 3 more episodes to go, not just next week it's over. But this is a good one. Leading up to the season finale, they do the official reveal for who our grand villain is. And I was right in the last episode, even though it took me until the last episode to figure that out. But this is, of course, the Shadow King. So that was very cool that they actually revealed officially the character that it was. We have all our characters kind of fighting to survive inside the asylum. Things go really crazy once David is like pushed into like this mental coffin deal. Like the episode kicks off and Cary's running through the asylum and it's just chaos. It's almost like a freaking zombie movie, and then like lights are going off, things are destroyed, and the walls look all burnt up. People are like just losing their minds. And I was like, okay, this is a really crazy start to the episode, because in the last one, it was just the hospital just looked fine. It was just like, it looks like the hospital and it's all a trap. And then it was just complete chaos in the opening of this, and I was like, I did not see that one coming. And also, I love the opening. It was great sound design for that, and you know how they do the very muffled sounds, or they turn down the sounds and they like kick up the background noises and things like that. So it's Cary running from the eye, and I couldn't believe what they did in this episode with his character where he dies. I just could not believe that that's how that ended up playing out. I thought for sure that, it just honestly just because of the fact that he was like the only mutant villain that they had, not counting the Shadow King. I thought he was going to live a lot longer, so that really surprised me that the Shadow King was like, okay, it's been fun, but just here you go, and like crushes him up and everything. And they even show what it looks like when it's in the real world. It's like in super slow motion, and he's starting to get crushed, and it's just blood like just pouring out of the top of his head. I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy to see that, but it was really good. I like the way they did it. Something that was really funny in this episode was David's powers creating another version of him, which was British, and that was funny because the actual actor is British, so the British version was his just normal accent for anyone who did not know that. So I really loved that. I just thought it was really funny. The visuals were good when he was like doing the drawings and stuff, and his other self is trying to help him figure out like, okay, let's state facts, what's going on. You were adopted, that has to mean what? And he's like, that has to mean that one of my parents was a mutant, and you would assume it's the father because the Shadow King mentioned like, I knew your father, so it's like, alright, my father would have to have been a mutant, psychic probably. And I love how they did the kind of the 2D chalk animations and stuff, and they had I don't want to spoil that. I don't know if they'll actually even reveal that in the series because of just the way the series is. And I may have mentioned it before, I can't really remember, but I know who David's father is. And they may have dang, that was loud, it was super windy outside. They may have somewhat revealed that in this episode for people who are familiar with the universe. But I was like, that's oddly a very good representation of that certain character. I thought that was pretty funny. But I liked how they did the visuals of the chalk and stuff like that, and how, David has this parasite and how it was defeated and then it drifted and found him and stuff like that. So it was really cool, and he develops his powers in this episode, and he really controls them a bit, and he gets a bit of a boost towards the end because they end up getting like the halo on his head, so that helps get rid of the demon for just a little bit, because we see even at the end of the episode it's so powerful it breaks the mental coffin. So it's like, well, that sucks because he's screwed in the next episode. And it was hard to tell in the promo. I was like, I can't tell if this is David or the monster because of just the way he was looking and some of the things he was doing. I was like, I can't really tell if this is David in control and he's just getting rid of the issues, or if this is the monster acting as David. And it's like, okay, after this I'm going to really go nuts and then just destroy everything. So I feel like it was David because, I don't know, but, it's also chopped up, so it's hard to tell. But I certainly loved the way it played out in this episode. They went through some really good stuff with the characters for sure. I mean, we get to see Oliver actually come back, and I thought that was great. And I'm guessing he doesn't remember Melanie. I mean, he certainly did in the astral plane, but but it was hard to tell when he came back. I was like, I'm pretty sure he doesn't remember her, even after he was finally able to escape. I don't think he remembers her 100%. I think he's a little bit better, but they did something that I thought was really cool, and he asked her, like, have you ever heard of the story of the family, the old couple in the crane? And I was like, oh, that's why in that old episode when she was getting the coffee, that's why she wanted to listen to that story twice, because I was like, I wonder why, I didn't, I was like, it didn't seem to make sense to me why that seemed to matter. It was like, why'd she listen to that story twice? And it made sense because, of course, it's Oliver's voice all over the building, and that was his voice, but it was also a story that he told her all the time. I was like, oh, that's a cool little callback. That's why she, she got the coffee and she just instantly poured it straight out, and then was like, I haven't heard it, what is it? So I was like, that's cool. That was a cool little callback to an older episode, but I really love what we got to see. A sad thing in this episode that really sucked, we find out that the dude with telekinesis was actually murdered. We find out that the eye actually killed him and put him in the closet. And I was like, that really sucked. And when Melanie saw the blood like going up, and then she goes downstairs, and I was like, that really blows. And we just see him in the closet, and I was like, wow, that sucks. So his character got killed off. And that's actually what ended up saving Cary and Sydney towards the end of the episode, because it was like he completely died. So all of his mental activity was in the astral plane. It wasn't like he was trapped in the astral plane. Like he officially died. So it was like, well, now he's completely in the astral plane, so he was able to save them at the last second. And it still sucked to see him go. I was like, wow, that really blows, because I just figured, I just thought the eye copied him, and he was like, okay, he's downstairs, I'll just run upstairs real quick and then start shooting the place up. I didn't think he got one up on the guy and actually stabbed him and killed him. So I was like, that really sucks that he's gone. And I still don't remember his name. Like, I think they said it like maybe once, possibly twice in the whole season, but it really sucked to see that. I was like, man, that really blows that they lost a member of the team. Don't mind that the eye died. I thought he would live longer, but I don't, he was the villain, so I don't really care that he died. And we still don't get an answer as to why he was chasing Cary down. He's just, like, that's how much of a villain he was. He was just bad the whole way through. So, him doing that had an effect on Cary, because she was freaking out, that whole time she's being chased down, and she doesn't have, of course, male Cary to help her out, because that's like their bond, even within this illusion. That's their bond, is that they're always together. And she was really mad at him when they finally end up escaping. She was like, I needed you and you weren't there to help me. And it's hard for me to comment. It's not like a normal situation where it's like, you're my best friend and you weren't there to help me out this one time, where it's like I feel like someone might be overreacting. It's so different. It's hard to say that she's overreacting or something, because they aren't normal people. I mean, they literally share one body. It's like, it's really hard for me to say like that's overreacting or something, because the characters are just so different. Like, if anyone else said that in this entire series, I'd be like, I feel like they're overreacting. Like, someone, he got pulled out of this world, and I still feel like she is a little bit, because he got pulled out, and he just didn't end up finding her, and they were trying to save everyone like in the actual room while they were or trying to save at least Sydney and David, because they were the ones about to be killed. So I still feel like she was overreacting like a tiny bit, but it was a little different, because he was going in and saving other people. Like, he went in and he grabbed Sydney, and actually I was relieved. I guess he grabbed her, and I guess they grabbed Wallace. I don't remember him being saved in the last episode, so I was like, it's really weird they didn't have Wallace in there like at all in this episode until like the end of it. And I was like, that's really weird. They didn't show them like save him or anything, and I don't believe they did in the last episode either. So I was like, that's weird. They just didn't have him like at all in the episode. I just thought that was weird. But they go through, and so of course once they escape, those are some of the big effects that they have on the characters. Oliver, of course, ends up surviving. He finally gets out of the astral plane, so that affects Melanie in a big way. And the Carys are they're not on the greatest of terms anymore. And I'm sure things will work out by the next episode, because I feel like if he explains it like, hey, I didn't really just want to leave you, but I was like pulled out by my friend, and then we were trying to save everybody's life. That's pretty much how it played out. So I think it'll be something that they can easily rectify in the next episode, but I'm curious to see. And unfortunately, with it being the season finale anyway, we won't have a bunch of time to explore it. So maybe it won't get fixed in the next episode, and we'll get to see it expand in season 2. But I really enjoyed this. I love the visuals. Once again, the visuals are always great. Getting to see this crazy, like the super crazy version of Lenny. The way they had her dressed up was really good, and she has like the super crazy hair, and she had like this old timey light and stuff, and the way she was dressed, I believe she had on like a pinstripe suit, and it was just like the visuals for that just looked really good. And the part where David was finally getting control, I love that scene where he's going through and the rooms keep repeating, especially when he was in the office, because he's going through and he's like, all right, I'm starting to get a little pissed off right now, and he's like, all right, this time I'm gonna get it, and he goes and he's like, and he just, the faces he was making, like he was just getting annoyed, like that the rooms kept repeating. Like, I love that part, so that was really funny. But he gains a lot of control in this episode, which was really good, and he's able to stop the bullets at the end, which I figured that's what he was gonna do when he turned around and he was able to like get him. But at first I was like, crap, I thought for sure he was gonna like just do a psychic thing and just stop the bullets in midair. And then he looked down at her and I was like, okay, that is what he did. And then they showed his hand with the bullets. But for a second I was like, oh crap, he didn't end up doing that, which I thought was crazy. But ultimately they're able to pull most of the people out. Sadly, one guy died anyway. But everyone gets pulled out and they make it back home. Everything seems good. And it's like, all right, well, let's get this monster out of me, because it's still kind of breaking its way through, which is a crazy scene. It actually made me jump for a second, because he turns and he looks and he sees the boy, and it made him jump. And for a second, I thought everyone saw him, because I think it was Sydney. It may have been Cary that they said, one of them said something. And then he was like, no, not really. I think we need to get this thing out of me. But I thought they were commenting on the creature being there, like, being, all of them being able to see it for a second. But I was like, okay, that's not what happened there. And then they go through and we end up seeing the dude from the first episode, who I don't know how the heck he survived, considering all those bodies got roasted. Which I always forgot to mention this. Who had that power? Like, who in the world did that in that episode? Because Cary, we find out it wasn't Cary that did it. Wallace doesn't have that ability, and we know Sydney doesn't have it. So who the heck set all those people on fire? Like, that just made me wonder. I was like, who in the world did that? Because we never actually see how that power came about. Like, we don't know who actually did that. So I thought that was something I wanted to mention, because that never seemed to make any sense. Like, when I saw it the second time, and it was like episodes later, and I watched the first episode with my girlfriend, and then I saw that power again. I was like, who did that? Because there were only 3 people, and we found out what Wallace could do, and then we find out that the 2 Carys, they just share a body. And I'm like, well, we know it wasn't David. He was there to be rescued. So I was like, who did that? And it wasn't, of course, the guy with telekinesis, because he was outside and he only has telekinesis. So that still bugs me. If you guys know the answer to that, there's something I missed in there as to how that ended up happening, please let me know. But I'm pretty sure there's no explanation as to who actually like torched those bodies and like set them all on fire like that. But either way, this guy ended up surviving, which really blew my mind. So D3 comes in, everyone gets captured. I love the fact that Oliver had his hands up, and then he was like, and he took like a sip of the martini, and then he put his put his hands back out. But I'm looking forward to the season finale, of course. This is a really fun episode. Naturally, I want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, I want to know what you guys want to see from this season finale. With the creature breaking out, or, the little break in the coffin by the end of the episode, it does make me wonder, that coupled with the promo, it just made me wonder, like, is that really David, or is the monster, especially because he still has the helmet on, but the monster still broke out. So is this like a weird in-between where David doesn't have to die now because they're wearing the helmet, and the monster's able to take over without, maybe it's able to take over, but it's not able to kill David because of the halo? So it's really hard to say, but of course, the Shadow King is going to be a big part of it. And I don't know if he's going to expel it, and because that's been a big part of the whole season. So it'll make me wonder, where's it going to go? If he ends up getting rid of the Shadow King from his own body, what's season 2 going to be like? So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, episode 1 changed up the whole thing for me. I thought the whole series was going to, or at least a big chunk of the series was going to be at the hospital. And then that changed episode 1, and they killed off Lenny in the beginning. I was like, oh, that's not exactly the role that Aubrey Plaza is going to be playing. She's a representation of the monster. So who knows where we're headed, but I would love to know what you guys want to see, or even expect to see if you have your own theories for how the season might end. We'd love to know where you think it's headed next week. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.